100 atomic heart facts you didn't know. This video contains Easter eggs, combat tips, glitches and more, so there will be something for everyone. By looking at the background in the main menu, we can suppose that P3 is located somewhere around the big mutant arena. But he is holding the little star weapon, yes, that's how you translate it, but at this point in the story it is impossible to get it. Atomic Heart was first set to release on the 23rd of February. This is a very important date because it was the day of the Red Army in the USSR, but after the fall of the USSR it was quickly renamed to the unofficial Day of All Men. Sometimes, instead of actually translating the text, the game would just rewrite the Russian word in English alphabet.
If you go to the museum, you will notice the Eternal Flame Monument, also known as the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, which is a real-life monument located in Moscow that was built to commemorate the victims in World War II. All historical facts written in the museum are fiction except the very last one, because Yuri Gagarin was a real man that lived in the USSR and was the first man to ever be in space. But the date is wrong, it's actually April 12, 1961 and not 1951 as it states in the game.
Certain robots, such as the Belash and the RAF-9, have abbreviations of their name printed on them. Actually, if you look at images of robots or in-game models, you can notice that pretty much every single one of them has either an image of the red Soviet star or written USSR on them. The Vova robot has red and blue wires all around his body, just like we humans have red blood in our arteries and dark blue blood in our veins. The Tereshkova robots are named after Valentina Tereshkova, a real person that lived in the USSR and is still alive to this day. She was the very first woman to ever be in space. If you use your scanner during the parade, the only highlighted targets will be the future bosses you will encounter in-game, the Belash and Natasha. While walking to the high-rise, you can notice real-life flags of the Soviet republics, which going from left to right are Uzbek SSR, Georgian SSR, Moldavian SSR, Tajik SSR, Estonian SSR, Turkmen SSR, Kyrgyz SSR, Lithuanian SSR, Russian SFCR, Uzbek SSR, Azerbaijan SSR, Latvian SSR, Armenian SSR, Kazakh SSR, Ukrainian SSR, and finally Belarusian SSR. This one you might actually know because it haven't changed at all. If when entering the high-rise you look back, the writing in the front of the building will be translated despite you not looking at it.
Talk about style. Science is power, I tell ya. The boss has a way of looking down on insurmountable obstacles. I really respect that.
There are no obstacles science cannot surmount.
Other than an electronic glove that never shuts up.
Oh my god. Hell no, man. What the fuck?
The ballerina twins have abbreviations TK on the right shoulder and AR on the left shoulder. I've looked through all Russian abbreviations of TK and AR, but the only thing that worked was aerial scouting for AR, but I'm not sure. If you know, please write down in the comments. The ballerina bot's hands look like and behave like P3's glove, which means that they might have access to the same abilities, but I'm not sure because I haven't completed the game yet. Speaking of which, I will make a second part once I beat the game, so make sure to like and subscribe to not miss that. The twins are very detailed, and I mean very detailed. Also, most of the time they stand at the tip of their toes just like real life ballerinas, and I don't know why I'm so surprised by this. I mean, they're literally called ballerinas for a reason. You might have already noticed that the ballerinas are taller than a regular person, but how tall are they? Well, if you take a cutscene where they're near a human, and by estimating that Sechenov's height is the world's average of 5'8", we can calculate that the height of the atomic twins is 8'9" or 268 centimeters, which is huge. This particular car, besides a gas counter, has a water counter, and I have no idea why. If you know, please write down in the comments. At this point, I should probably mention that most of the music you hear on the radio and from speakers are either remixes or unedited versions of the most popular Russian songs from the 80s and the 90s.
We are now flying past the majestic Call of the Motherland Monument, erected in 1949 to mark the Soviet Union's victory in World War II.
The Call of the Motherland Monument is a real-life monument located in Russia, Volgograd, and another one located in Ukraine, Kiev. Just like it stays in game, the statue was built to mark the victory in World War II. And just like with Yuri Gagarin, the only thing wrong are the dates. The statue in Volgograd was built in 1967 and the Kiev statue was built in 1981. In-game cutscenes are the only instance where you are not in first person, and during these cutscenes, if you look at Major Nechaev's suit, you can see his rank alongside his name. Animals do not drop any loot whatsoever. If you have any type of skin for your weapon and you go in your inventory, this skin will not be displayed. The same thing goes for the storage and upgrade windows. In pretty much every indoor safe zone, there are these TVs with this cartoon playing. This is an actual cartoon aired on real-life TV from 1969 to the early 2000s. This was the #1 kids show, everyone was watching it. The episodes you see in safe rooms are random and change when you reload the save file. But in certain areas, mostly not safe rooms, the episodes aren't random and usually have some kind of correlation to the place where they are located. You can actually find all 43 episodes inside the game's files. But the episodes were shortened to 1 minute instead of the full 10 minutes like in the original. And the face you see on certain locks come from this show. This robot actually became a big meme in Soviet countries because it was so scary it was giving kids nightmares. The values on the water dispenser make no sense. Seriously, what does 1 coin and 3 cents mean? Do you know how many coins there are? Locks have USSR written on them. Every type of that has a unique animation. If you go inside the game's files, you can see that there are 60 different cartoons for every single type of death. If you open the Employers tab on a computer, you will see not only fictional characters but also real-life celebrities and accurate descriptions of what they were doing. When swimming in polymer, you can hear P3's flashbacks. The Fox weapon has an abbreviation of its name written on the blade. If you hover over a weapon in your backpack, you can see what upgrades it has and what level they are. Despite the fact that the word rucksack is commonly used in Russian, it is actually a German word. Your hand freezes when you use the frostbite plasmid, so when you're waiting for the cooldown, you are actually waiting for your hand to heat up. You cannot freeze these moving robots because they aren't considered enemies. You don't have to open all crates in order to get all the loot. Yes, you can open all the crates, but only the ones that give you the prompt to open them will contain loot. If you don't fully freeze enemies, they will quickly unfreeze. But if you fully freeze them, they will only unfreeze if you damage them enough. You can understand if an enemy is fully frozen if it has this blue shade. But unfortunately, if you shatter an enemy, he will not drop any loot. Shocking and shooting a robot allows you to quickly defeat them even on the hardest difficulty. There is a counter at the top of the flying robot exit that shows how many bees are left inside. There are many instances where you can farm enemies, but this area is the best one to find biomaterial because you can one-shot these flying enemies. The large mutant has a weak spot on his back, and it is the only mutant that actually speaks in the game.
Dink!
You can see the cracks caused by your weapons disappearing, which is strange because in all other games this happens when you're not looking. If after getting introduced to the repair robots you make your way to this place, you will notice this weird statue. And it's actually a popular Russian meme because what is this? Someone was really drunk when building this. You can shut down cameras using your shock ability. And it is actually more effective to disable cameras using shock ability than to destroy them, and no repair bots will respawn them. If you freeze enemies mid-air, they will fall to the ground. You don't have to actually be in stealth mode in order to perform a stealth attack. All you have to do is to press the interaction button before the robot notices you. The button you need to spam to perform a sneak attack are predetermined and never change. For laborers, it's always Q, and for Vovas, it's always E. This allows you to anticipate the action and finish this animation 1 second earlier. Amazing, I know. Granny Zena's flying house and her pet are a reference to the Baba Yaga and her house on chicken legs from Slavic fairy tales. You can skip the healing animation by switching to another weapon. Note that you can switch to the same exact weapon and still skip the animation. There is no icon for the key that you use to rotate the lock when lockpicking. You can destroy the radio to shut it up. Instead of having secret loot behind the waterfall, there are enemies behind the waterfall. If you look at official RAF9 images on the Atomic Heart website, you can see that they have a brain. What? The solar station is called so because it has solar panels, and the Lesnaya station is called so because it's in a forest. When your gun has no ammo, it is automatically reloaded, but if you press the reload button again, you can always shove one more ammo inside the gun, which looks especially weird with the AK-47 that has 41 ammo in one magazine. When you open your map, you can see the star open on your glove. Cameras look like flowers because the robots that take care of them are called bees, which is an obvious reference to the pollination effect. When you shut down cameras, they look like dead flowers, which even more reinforces this theory. When a camera notices you, their petals slowly become red, indicating that they will trigger an alarm soon. If you get the timing right, you can shut down the camera and still trigger an alarm. When laborers do their ranged attack, they run away to a safe spot to regenerate their blade. This is the best moment to do damage because they can't defend themselves. you can see which enemies give you certain loot. But some items don't have rare drops, which looks quite strange, because there is still the word rare written. If you go to the polymer upgrade menu, you can see at the top left hand corner Eleonora's name and the day when she was built. I also checked normal fridges, but they have the exact same name, so I guess they're all Nora's. And in case you didn't know, Nora is the shorter version of Eleonora, just like Natasha is the shorter version of Anastasia. The Hawk 7 boss looks very similar to the robot from The Incredibles. The Hawk 7 shockwave travels through walls. You can actually cancel his kinesis attack by using your own kinesis ability. The Hawk 7 projectile attack anticipates your movement, so if you run around the boss, you will most likely die. So it is actually better to stand still and dodge when needed. If the Hawk 7 runs into the statue, he will destroy it and take damage. And this is actually the only way to damage him when he's rolling. You can't just shock the roof, you actually have to aim for the magnet in order to flip it. Sometimes when you loot crates, the items that you receive can freeze mid-air, but this actually allows you to see that even bolts have the Soviet star on them. Certain elements of the game don't freeze when you pause it. Normally the Raft 9 doesn't attack you until you attack him, but if you loot something near him, he will become hostile. If you store your electro pistol, you can craft it again for free, which means you can craft them infinitely. But if you try to disassemble your electro pistol, it will give you resources. But unfortunately, all the other electro pistols that you craft after will give you nothing. And I thought I found an infinite item glitch. Also, in case you're wondering, all the facts in this video I found myself, so feel free to write down in the comments something that I've missed. Amazing translation, 10 out of 10. No, seriously, you don't even have to know Russian to see what's wrong here. If you look at this laborer statue, you will notice that he doesn't have anything in his legs, which is strange because if you go on the official Atomic Heart website, you can see that he has mechanisms in his legs. Why wasn't this added to the game? I don't know. It's especially strange if you consider the fact that the model was already done. The Vova model in the VDNH is different from the one that we see at the very beginning of the game. Finally, it is done. I actually wanted to include more facts, but then the video will be just too long. So like and subscribe to not miss the second part, and have a great day.